it would be great if you can, go through the whole onboarding process. Like, click on the Zoom link. Like, first uninstall the Zoom app, Zoom desktop app that you have, and then click on the Zoom link that you joined from wherever it was, if it was in the group or if it was on LinkedIn. Click on the link and experience the product flow as a new user. So,
Jerry,
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Since we are doing the call over the Zoom call, and if people will uninstall, it would be very difficult.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what I will
Sorry
do,
about
I'll
that.
share my screen. So
Yeah.
I am there from the mobile phone,
Right.
and people can watch how the steps are, and there we can discuss.
Sure. So, like, just to, like, before that, just to give a small introduction to, like, the Zoom app. So basically, I mean, because all of you are using Zoom, you know what the app is. But so in every product there are multiple stakeholders. So even in Zoom, like, there are two kinds of users. One is the host, that is me. Like, I created the Zoom meeting, and I was able to select certain settings, and I hosted the meeting, and I shared the link with wherever I could, like in the product community, in other places. So what the other user is the participant. So we'll go through the onboarding and, like, the product journey of the participant. So what we'll do is Ashish will go through the product journey as a participant, and we'll try to analyze what are the, the emotions that he goes through. Like, what are the steps, how many steps are there, like what are the pain points that come up, and what are possible improvements, or we can discuss on that. And it'll be great if you guys can, like, contribute. I mean, we expect you to contribute. Like, the suggestions should come from your end. So maybe before that, like, if we can quickly go around the table, like, if you can, give like a one line introduction about yourself, what you do, that would be great. So, like, let's make it very quick. So, like, you can just start. Anybody can start, or yeah. So, or otherwise I'll start calling out names. There's Malvika. Malvika, if you're there, can you, like, quickly introduce yourself? I think there is some issue with the audio because you're still on mute. Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. What we'll do is, like, you guys can put your introductions in the chat. Like, it'll be great to know everyone, but, like, I think this will waste some time. So you can put your introductions in chat, and we'll get started here. So Ashish, like, are you there?
Yeah, Jerry. So you can share the screen. So I'm already sharing my screen with you, and
Right.
you can share the same screen. From there, we can start.
Sure. Great. Yeah. So guys, this is Ashish's, like, laptop that we are seeing, his screen that we are seeing. So Ashish, maybe you can start from the beginning, where, like, when you see the invite link somewhere, let's say the group. Yeah. So let's say Ashish is the user. He saw the invite link, clicked on it.
Are you joining?
Yeah. So what happened is that, like, it took him to this landing page, this page where it's loading. So what are the things that is visible on this page? So please click open Zoom meetings if you see the system dialog. If nothing prompts from browser, click here to launch the meeting or download and run Zoom. So let's see what Ashish does now.
Yeah, so for example, if I have the link to join any meeting, most of the time I would not even try to install the app because I'm not aware of it. I will be using it for the first time. So my preconceived notion is that it would be something like Hangout Meet, where I will click on the link and I will instantly join the call. So that is why I haven't downloaded the app, and this is the first time I'm interacting with the app.
Right. So yeah, so what you're saying is like for you, you already have a notion that like you have already probably used something like Hangouts, and you think that when you click the link, you will directly see the meeting, like you'll join the meeting.
So in most of the scenario, like at this moment, like people would be in a hurry to join the call.
Right.
They would be figuring out things, how do I join the call? I might be getting late and somebody's waiting for me. So I think if we can, point this emotion, because
right.
most of the people will be facing a similar kind of emotion. Maybe somebody else can also contribute here. What kind of emotions would people feel? And then we can think of, how we can mitigate that.
I'll just click write that landing page opens. So anybody else? I mean, there's no point if you guys just passively participate, because then you will never like that is not how you will get to get an idea about these things. So like be free and just you can unmute yourself and share anything that you have. So basically what we are trying to analyze is so the loading page opens. What are possible emotions that the user goes through? So like one thing that Ashish mentioned is uh, so basically there is this notion that the invite link directly opens into the meeting for other apps like Hangouts and other video conferencing tools, but here he's stuck on this page. And so yeah, so that is one thing.
One more input that I could probably give is that comparing this with Google Meet, etc. So when a person joins, it clearly asks them about audio and video preferences, and they can just choose it and join. I think whereas in Zoom, when you join, I think you have an additional option where you have to click on join with computer audio. So maybe that's like a step that they can eliminate, or that
Right. Right. So we are a little behind that step. So we are still so Ashish is the user here. He's still stuck on this launch page. So right now he doesn't have the app. Like he hasn't downloaded the desktop app. So because of that, he's stuck here and now he has to download. So what he's facing right now is that he has to download and he's sort of in a hurry, right? So Ashish, I think you can go ahead and do your next action.
Sure. So since I'm in hurry, I'm feeling anxious, and I'm just trying to figure out what are the buttons I can click and I get to the meeting as soon as possible. So I think download and run Zoom would not be the right fit for me as of now, because I want to go there as soon as possible. I think I will try to click here. So it is giving me a prompt. I cannot show you the prompt right now, but it is showing me a prompt on the Windows where it is saying that you will need a new app to open this Zoom meeting.
Okay.
So I cannot do anything from there because I haven't downloaded the app. So I'm still not sure how I can move forward from there.
So what is the CTA that is it's asking you to download, right?
It's asking me to choose an app, and we don't have downloaded Zoom, so we are not able to identify which app we have to download. So it's a Windows prompt. It's not a Zoom prompt.
Okay.
And something has happened in the browser, so we'll go back.
Okay.
So when I clicked on this, So the prompt that I have, it is basically a Windows prompt that you are looking for an app in the Microsoft Store. And since we haven't downloaded the app, it is not showing up there. But what I can see is that there is another line which is coming here. If you cannot download or run the app, join from the browser. So it gives me an option of joining from the browser.
Right.
So is there any like recommendation, like suggestions people have? Maybe Jarin, you can discuss, what exactly has been the experience till now, and what other emotions people are feeling. Like, what I can say is that I was a little bit confused when I clicked here because it didn't do anything. It just prompted Windows Microsoft Store uh, dialog box, but there was no other app which I could just simply click or join from there.
Right. So basically on this page, there are like three things that you can click on. And the click here is, what I would normally click because of the normal behavior of that I have. So like nothing prompted up, click here is what I clicked, and again I get stuck. So because I'm in a hurry, I would go ahead and download. But I think like there are a lot of users who might be like low intent and who are just coming out to check the meeting. They might lose out here. Like you might lose out on those users here. So uh, join from your browser. It's actually like the first time I'm seeing this option. I mean, maybe it was so small that I didn't notice it, or maybe it was a recent option. But like, yeah, let's see what that does.
So one of the things I noticed here, even though they don't have a loader over here, but they have written launching here, and that is very big, bold, and it is in the front. So it gives us the feeling that okay, you might be struggling a little bit, but the app is about to launch. You just need to follow some steps. So it doesn't lead me to sense of hopelessness. It gives me a feeling that the app will launch. I would be able to join meeting very soon. So that is one thing which this word is doing.
Right, right. So let's break that down. So the launching thing gives you hope. So you did the click here. Can like what exactly happened? That's a problem with Windows, is what you're saying.
Yeah. So hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can actually show you the prompt as well. I have to stop presenting and I have to share my another screen because the prompt is coming on my other screen. So that's what I can do. Just a second. I'll show you.
Yeah.
Hello.
So yeah.
Can you see the screen right now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So if I click here, it will show this prompt. Look for an app in the Microsoft Store.
Okay. Okay.
So since I don't have the app right now, so I cannot just do it. And most of the time, I do not use Microsoft Store, so I won't even try to go there. So probably, so it creates a sense of confusion. So
Right.
that is what I'm feeling right now.
Okay. So we have a comment from Ishleen that uh, even though she has an app, on clicking the link, this page pops up despite having a Zoom app on my Mac.
So what we'll do, I'll download the app after this.
Right.
So and then we can follow the steps there as well.
Sure. Sure.
And like if anybody has tried to join the meeting and share their experience till now, because we are just one page into the app, if they want to share what they have experienced, it would be great.
I think you can put it down in chat as well. Like, so it's just been one page, like, but we are trying to break down the emotion that you feel when you basically like when you go through the process of the user onboarding. So yeah, great. You guys can like keep giving this on the chat. So meanwhile, so the click here has basically led nowhere, at least on the Windows desktop. What it has done is like it has basically gone to a dead end. Like many people may not go to the Microsoft Store and try to download the app.
One of the reason I feel that they are trying to push us to download and run Zoom, because they want people to download the app instead of using it in the browser, probably to have a good first experience, and probably they have some understanding of in terms of the numbers that when people are downloading the app, they are more likely to use Zoom again.
Right, right. So that is true. I mean, that would like be the reason why they prefer, they want people to download an app and use it. Like, but is there a better way to make people download the app? Like, if you guys have suggestions, like, you can do that. So basically, like, click here button, there is some irritation. Next is like download from, I would say, Microsoft Store. I mean, you have, like, if you are desperate to join the meeting, you have to do this. So like, there will be some desperation and like people can download this, but is there a better way to make make people download?
Shall I go ahead and join from the browser?
Yeah, let's try that. Okay. So it has asked for your name. There's a captcha. So basically, like, this is like the third step that is happening. So yeah, so the first step is you click on the link, then it takes you to that launching page. Then if you have directly clicked on launch from browser, this will open up for you. But if you have
Another thing, the emotions that we are mapping, we are not writing the intensity. So maybe people can tell us, what would be the intensity, and we can rate it in out of 10. Like when we are in hurry, what kind of if we are facing anxiousness, so what would be the strength of that? So that would allow us to solve the peak pain points of the user.
Yeah. So an interesting thing that Ishleen says is, should we look at it from only the perspective of a new user? We'll do that right now. But yeah, I mean, there are multiple user flows that will happen and that a product manager would have thought about, before designing the product. So like, that will take a long time. But like right now, we'll focus on the new users, because an existing user would have downloaded the app, but definitely like the flow is different there, and that flow also has to be good to retain those users. Yeah, so intensity, I think I mean, how do we measure intensity, right? Like, should have some benchmarks. Like, I think maybe simply like high, medium, low. That is a good starting point. So Ashish, like, you can maybe go to the next step.
Yeah, I just joined. I came back. So basically, what it does is that it joins you to the meeting. It asks you, how do you want to connect the audio, and then you are basically in. You are able to see what people are talking about. So I think this is the last step. You enter the name. So what it does is that when it asks for the name, it allows me to write the name in a way where the people who are in the community, they would be able to recognize me.
Right.
So that is helpful. Writing down the name is good. So I think this is it in the this first sign up process. Let's say we have joined the call, and now we like the app, and we will install the app now. In the meanwhile, Jaren, you can discuss. I will download the app, so we'll see
Right.
the
Right.
download experience as well.
So one thing I feel good in this step about is like it doesn't make me like I can write any name that I want. If I even if I want to be anonymous, I can do that. Like personally for me, like I think that's, as a user, like I feel like I'm not giving away my privacy there. So like from a new user's perspective, that's a good thing. It has not asked any like sign in details or things like that, so that's a good thing there. So let's try to map the intensity here. So what happened was like Ashish clicked on the link from the group where he saw the link that there is a Zoom meeting happening, and the loading page opens, and there is a launching word written there, so that gives him some hope that something is going to happen. So I think like people would generally click on the meeting, like so it depends. Like usually what happens is there are two types of things. Like the meeting could be for a future time, and people would be still clicking on the meeting to see what's happening, so they will be less desperate at that time. But if the meeting is happening right now, the launching thing gives them some hope, but then it doesn't go anywhere, so the click here button will lead to some irritation because it asks them to download. But because they are desperate, you'll still go ahead and download. So Ashish, like, have you downloaded it?
Yeah, I have downloaded the app, and this is the first screen that I'm seeing. So it is asking me for the name. So I can enter any name, or I can click on remember my name for the future meetings as well. So I think that is good.
Right.
So again, I'll do this. Shall I go ahead and click on this?
Yeah. Okay. I think because you're sharing your screen, this is happening. So one thing, like after downloading and the enter name pop up, like what happened in between? Like, did you have to like launch the app again, or it launched automatically?
It got launched automatically, and the download file size was also small. It took roughly around 30 seconds for me to download.
Right. Okay. Okay. So the downloading process was 30 seconds basically. Yeah. So I think you have joined, right, using the, like, after entering your name.
Yeah, I have joined. So what I'll do, I'll join again. That is from the desktop, and so from there you can see the screen, and we would be able to go into different features that the Zoom is providing. So I think that is possible.
Yeah.
So I'll go to the link again. First link. Okay. I think this time it should automatically come. Yes. So now once I have downloaded the app, the process is very smooth.
Okay. Is there a way for you to, like, switch off this screen?
So I have left the meeting from the mobile phone. Now I'm talking from the desktop. Yeah. So this is a screen. Can you see the screen?
No, you have shared the Zoom screen basically, right?
Yeah. So it's a Zoom screen. So you can see which features I'm clicking on, right?
Yeah. Okay. So this is basically your Zoom app downloaded on your desktop, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you
Yeah.
see it now?
Yeah. This is better. Yeah.
Maybe I'll select someone.
So this is what you get when the moment you join. This is what happens, right? So I think the reason for that is,
So can you hear me? Yeah.
yeah.
So once you join, you are seeing a lot of the buttons over here, and you can start to figure out those things which you are already expecting. Like for example, mute button and start video. Like it's one of the most common one. People would be already anticipating those buttons.
So I think one thing before that, like when you joined, it asks you if you want to keep your audio mute or video mute. Did it ask you that?
It asked me to join the audio from the computer or from a dial-in, but I think it didn't by default unmuted me. So I think it's a setting for the admin or the host to define whether they want to keep the people in mute or unmute.
Right. So when I hosted the meeting, I have kept this option that mute participants upon entry. So, but I'm not sure even if I don't keep that option, I think you wouldn't get an additional option to mute yourself, like even before joining. So you will
No,
probably join as a unmuted person, and then you'll have to mute yourself.
that is correct.
Yeah. So I'll just note that down after unmuting yourself. So that is like one thing. If Meet host hasn't set mute upon entry. So this is something that, like, I've noticed people can, like, ignore this. Like this can be skipped, and they would be uh on, sorry, like, this is muting yourself. So they would be on mute, and so, like, how visible is the mute button basically? Like, is it very obvious that you can unmute or mute yourself from here?
For the beginner, I think they would try to figure out, because that is something, as I said, they would be expecting that there would be somewhere mute button, volume button, or a video button. So their eyes will directly go over there. So that is where I feel, I think it would be pretty intuitive, because whenever people will join, they will see, okay, they are muted, they are muted. And if you carefully look at the mute button, so this button is moving up and down, right? Can you see that? Yeah.
Right.
So when people see that, it's a visual cue to allow me to understand that I am not on mute.
Yeah. Right. So basically, the volume, like the volume rising on the mute button. The rising, like it basically like creates some awareness that that you are not on mute. Right. So like I think we can talk about like the features. I think like one thing that why a lot of educators or people who are doing like video conferencing prefer Zoom is because of the extra features that it gives over you can say Hangouts. So there is the chat feature. Like I think that's did you notice that the moment you joined, Ashish?
Yeah, I think it's pretty intuitive. The reason is that like whenever somebody is joining a video call, like these are the features which like people have seen before. So they tend to look for these things. So where is the mute button? Where is the chat button? And you can clearly see that participants chat is there. So all these buttons are aligned at the bottom. So it takes like few seconds to understand there are all the things. Where confusion is there, probably what this button is like. How do you swap the shared screen? So how does it work? And then it's pretty intuitive to understand that these are the participants and okay, and you can also read the chat. So like these are the pretty intuitive buttons.
Right.
Jen, say something.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Chaitanya says the volume rising might be because of the speaker's voice. Might be misunderstood that it could be due to the speaker's voice. The mute button
No,
things.
so it's actually the microphone voice. So whenever I am saying something, this volume is going up and down. So it is giving me a cue that my mic is not on mute, and I'm whatever I'm saying, it is going to the people.
Right. But there could still be like a misunderstanding that it's because of the speaker's voice. I mean, like if and then people may not have that cue to mute.
Okay.
So like what he's suggesting is what Chaitanya is suggesting is like if the mute button blinks. So for example, yeah, like that could be an even better visual cue. Hmm. So let's like if the mute button blinks while you are on while you are unmuted. So one thing that could possibly cause is like obviously it will prompt people to mute themselves. That's great, but like it might cause some irritation to the user. I mean the speaker, basically because that button is always blinking. But yeah, if like one of the biggest pain points, like this is a relevant pain point that participants don't mute when they're not speaking. There's a lot of background noise coming, so I think that prompt can actually be helpful.
Or like the way when they were asking, what's your name and do you want to remember this name for the future meeting? They can also ask for, do you want to keep on mute when you're joining the call? So audio and video both can be on mute. When I join the call, then I can turn it on when I want to.
Right, while joining, I mean that is definitely a thing that uh, muting yourself before joining, that prompt could have been there. But like even during the call, so let's say somebody speaks something and then they forget to mute themselves. So I mean, like that prompt will also be helpful, right? So what are other things you see? Like so then there are some settings that only the host or co-host can see, like record. So like you have a
I
record,
can also see record button. I'm not the host here.
right?
But if I click on that, it will tell me, please request recording permission from the meeting host.
Right. And there's a reaction button. Like I haven't seen a lot of people using it too.
I'm not sure where is it going.
So I am able to see, like other people are able to see
Okay.
that there is a clap reaction coming
All
from
right.
your
So
back.
it is not showing it back to the user who is sending it.
Yeah,
So probably that is why people are not aware of it. So they, if they're sending any like or they're sending any smiley, they also want to see it whether it's going or not.
right, right. I
So
think
that
it
loop here is not getting closed.
right. It depends on the kind of screen you have. If you have like, because on your screen it's just the speaker and your panel is not visible, you can't see it, right? So now you can see it.
Right, right. It's coming here.
Right. So I think like what I'll do is I'll share my screen, and because like I'll go through a certain like the features that we have, and then we can discuss, because as a host I have certain features that extra features that are there. Is there anything any other feature that you see, Ashish? So yeah, one thing I've noticed is that uh, yeah, so like the chat feature, right? So like when you try to chat, let me just take my chat box. Yeah, so let's say I want to chat with Chaitanya, right? So let's say I have privately replied to him, and now somebody else asks a question, and I want to reply to everyone. This setting still stays at Chaitanya. So this has happened a lot of times that I want to uh, I want to send this chat to everyone, but it still goes to Chaitanya. So let's say like I send something like suggestions, but that has still gone to Chaitanya. So I have to basically reset it to everyone and send that. So that is something that happened with Asad also. Like when he was trying to basically suggest the names of the books or the resources, like it was being sent privately to me and not to everyone, because this setting was kept at me by default. So I think like that is something. Yeah, the chat box, instead of beginning the display from the recent, always begins from the earliest comment. Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is another thing, right? So, like, yeah, I mean, this is uh, people who joined just now cannot see the previous chats. I mean, there could be reasons to that as well, because let's say you came in now, and yeah, so you came in now, and like the other people in the meeting don't want you to see their previous chats. But I think the majority cases, like it's such that people who might come in late, and yeah, they might want to see like previous options. That option should at least be there. Yeah. So I'll write that down. We have not been writing it down very well, like uh, so volume rise. So we'll just write down things that we are noticing. So volume rise on the mute awareness. So one improvement that was suggested was volume but mute button blinking, and chat messages going to private. So that, like, that cause a lot of irritation. People ask you, like where is the message, but it has actually gone to private message to someone. And another one is like old chat messages not visible. If I reconnect, I will lose the chat. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely something that can be improved, because if somebody has already been on the call and like he lost the connection and he reconnects, I mean, he should have access to the previous messages. I mean, there the privacy, like the privacy angle doesn't come into the picture. I mean, unless any of you can think of why they haven't done that, like if you can think of that, like please do write it. Like that would be a great insight. But that is definitely a feature that causes irritation. So Biswa says one more problem for a new user is also to find the setting option, which is not visible along with other option. Get the option to set the HD cam virtual background. Yeah, I've never actually noticed that. Ashish, have you noticed that?
So it's in the side option in the like start video or audio option. If you see the arrow mark, there it is video settings or audio settings.
Okay, wait. See, another thing is like, yeah, I've just shared my screen. Biswa, can you say that again? Like, where are the settings? On the here, right?
It's in the arrow mark, upward arrow mark. It is like in the beside the start video and mute option. If you click on that, it will show the video settings and background option. So we have to search for it.
Okay. I think.
Yeah, in the bottom left.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Got it. Yeah. So. Yeah. So what were you saying again? Like not finding the setting. Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I
For
had
a
to
new
find so hard.
user, we have to search for it. So
Right.
if I want to have an option for HD cam or virtual background, I have to search for it quite a time and then set it. So
Right.
that's a problem.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like it took so much time for me to like figure that out. Uh, I mean, I think like the reason could also be, like the the space is limited. I mean, where do you keep it? So, I mean, it's a design problem, and like it's all about like the user priority. So for someone who wants to improve when the video quality is really bad and someone wants to like do something about it, uh, then it can be irritating, like not being able to find it. So I'll tell you like what I'm trying to do now. So I'm trying to share my screen, and what happens when I share my screen is I lose the previous screen that Zoom had. So this screen comes up for me, like whereas previously for me the screen was where you could like it was a bigger window where you could see all the participants, and on the side you have the chat bar, but now like everything has gone for a toss. So maybe the reason is that while I'm sharing the screen, uh, the like Zoom thinks that my focus will be on the screen that I'm sharing. So that's why it has minimized everything else. But yeah, so right now, like what I wanted to do was I wanted to share the Zoom screen itself. So that I'm not being able to do. And like for me, the chats are also gone. So like seeing the chats, where are the chats? Yeah, so while I'm sharing my screen, like accessing the chats has become super difficult. Like I'm not able to see where the chat box is.
So there is this option as well. You can pop out the chat or the participants. So everything which is there in the app. Uh, can you share my screen? I'll show it to you.
Yeah,
Like, is it there on the screen? Can people see the Zoom app?
let me share my screen. Yeah,
Yeah. So what you can do, just a second. Let's switch this. You can click on this. You can pop out the chat. So while you are sharing the screen, now what you can do, you can minimize this, and then you have the chat as well, and you can see what is happening on the screen, and you can also start sharing whatever you want to do. You can share anything.
right, right. So, but after I've shared, like I'm completely lost. So
Yes, that option is there. Like, I don't think it's that intuitive. Probably, I think a basic tutorial of, maybe some cues on arrows would be good, because many people who are using it for, like, probably they have, like, for example, you have used it for like 40, 50 times at least.
yeah,
And even then it's not that intuitive to understand that there is arrow here and you can pop it out, because first of all people are not looking to pop out the participant list. So it's not that intuitive. It seems like that, it will minimize something or something like that, but it's an option for setting button. So I think a better way would be, if the design of this button is different, that way it will help. Maybe some setting button should be there, so that way people will understand that, there is something over there. Instead of minimizing, it will give me some setting. So similar to this, that is why probably the reason people probably haven't clicked on this.
right, right. So let me just try doing that. Yeah, so now I'm able to pop out the participant list and the chats. Right. So another thing is like the bottom bar I'm not able to pop out. So if I ever want to like do things like polling and the other features, like I don't have access to that when I'm sharing my screen. So as you can see, like I've shared my screen.
I
So
think
everything
one of
else,
the good idea would be, whenever somebody is sharing the screen for the first time or maybe for the first second time, they can give an option of, do you want to pop out the chat? So that way people will know you can do it from there.
right, right,
Currently people haven't figured that out. Or, similarly, when people are joining for the first time, they can also show it on the video setting. So a timely tutorial at the right time would definitely help here.
right, right. And so you're saying like as a first time user also you didn't have any of these things like a tutorial kind of thing, right?
No, I signed up in front of you.
Right. So like tutorial suggesting like chat pop-up and participant pop-up.
And specifically when somebody is sharing the screen, because that is where the need will arise.
Right. Right.
So now what we can do, we can go back to the spreadsheet now, because we have already gone through all the features, I think. On the spreadsheet, what we can do, we can discuss on all the emotions. And as a product manager, what people would need to do, for example, now you have mapped all these emotions which your users are feeling. So what we have done, we have just taken our example, like what we are feeling, and we have taken a very small sample set where people have said, okay, I'm finding this irritated, I'm feeling anxious here, I'm feeling something else there. So it's a very small sample set. For a product manager, it would be best if they interact with more and more people and try to match whether all of the users are facing the same assumptions, same emotions. So because it might be possible that we are feeling irritated somewhere because of some feature, but for the other users it might be a good thing, they might like it. So we have to, first of all, as a product manager, we have to reach out to more and more people, try to do the emotion mapping like we have done here, and identify the intensity of it. So till now we haven't been able to identify the intensity, because if we are able to do so, we would be able to heavily prioritize where do we need to work.
Right. And even in intensity, I think it comes like you have to average it out over the users. Like for some it might be a medium intensity, for some it might be high. So like basically what this all that intensity and the weight of it comes from the user research that you do. And like because there are like multiple pain points that will come up, uh, but the thing is in digital products especially, like, so now we have analyzed only desktop, but there are a lot of people who log in from the mobile. So the real estate, the space that you have to work with is very low. So like there comes the need for prioritization. So like user research and understanding where majority of the users, like where they would be irritated and trying to solve that, like that is one of the biggest jobs of the product manager.
So what we will do, we will quickly have a user research for, we have 16 people over here. We can try to map the intensity, what people felt in their own rating. Jarin, is there a way you can run a poll and people can answer that?
Right, I can do that. So again, like so this is another thing, right? I can't run the poll while I'm sharing my screen. I think for me as a host, that would definitely be like something that would help me. So I'm just going to, and so I'll just walk you through, like I'll tell you what is happening right now. So I've clicked on the poll option, which is only visible to hosts. I don't think you guys can see it. So it takes me to my browser where it opens up a poll creation window. So I'm just typing that out. So I think this I can share with you. So Ashish, how do you have suggestions on how we can do this? Like, so I can only create one poll here.
Yeah, we can do it one by one. So you just write down the first one.
Okay.
Uh, like loading page opens. Emotion is anxious. Like you are in a hurry and you are feeling anxious about it. So you can just
Start.
type 1 to 10, something like that.
Cheers.
Or 1 to 5. 1 to 5 would be fine.
Should we just pick up the launching thing, right? Or like you're saying in general the loading page?
In general, the loading page where people are trying to figure out. So we want to understand what's the intensity in scale of one
We
to
just put high, medium,
high,
low.
medium, low would be fine. Yeah. So how much anxious people are, that we have to like do the survey.
So I'll have to see. I'll have to basically launch the poll. Yeah. Great. So I've just launched the poll. If you guys can like quickly enter your answers.
In the meanwhile, we can prepare other polls as well.
So I'm not able to create another poll without this one ending. So I'm going to end it.
All right.
A lot of people have answered. So what we have is a 50-50 between high and medium.
So let's put some number on that, because that will make it easier for us to identify the priority. Maybe low is 1, medium is 5, or high is 10. Then we can average it out.
Right. So I'll just create the poll for the next one. Yeah. So what was the number that you said?
1, 5, 10 for a high, low,
Okay.
and medium.
Okay. So we'll have 7.5 for this based on that.
Okay. And click here button. So the
Yeah.
button which is there, like how much irritated people are feeling.
Basically asks you to download irritation. So when I launched the poll, are you seeing multiple polls or like are you seeing just one?
I'm seeing only one.
Yeah. So I think this is also like this is closer to 7. So then you have the downloading process basically. So I've just I'm launching the poll for the downloading process. So what you can say is like during the downloading process, basically. So what did you feel, Ashish, when you like during the downloading process? Yeah, let me just share the spreadsheet here.
There are 2, 3 buttons over there. I think we have written down about two of them. Okay, you can see the screen as well. Okay. So the click here button, what it does, it actually does nothing. It just shows a pop-up from the download Mac store, Microsoft store. I felt there was no need of that, and the problem with that is there is no cross button on that, so it's difficult to remove that but dialog box from there. So it was pretty irritated. Then yes, so for the download Microsoft Store button, that pop-up was there. So I just wanted to remove it. So that is unnecessary bottleneck for the people.
Right.
I think it would be difficult for the product managers of Zoom to identify that problem, because it is not the problem of Zoom. Your product is creating a problem from the Windows. So Windows is giving that problem.
Right. So after that, like while you're downloading, what was the process? Like, what are the feeling?
Yeah, so when I clicked on downloading, it specifically downloaded a exe file, or in that exe file, it took like 20 to 30 seconds to get download and install the complete app. So it was not a very big file. So that was smooth because it didn't behave in a way which I was not expecting. So after the installation, everything worked. It asked for the name, rest of things are fine. So what we are trying to do here is we want to see which emotion is giving the highest intensity, and for a product manager, we need to identify which emotion is actually affecting many people, and they're facing high strength of emotions in that particular screen or feature, and based on that, the product manager can decide this is what they want to solve. So what they will do, I think we have understood the gist of it. We can do the exercise, but like I think people are understanding what is happening. So now the product manager, what product manager can do. So for example, in the loading page, Jen, can you go to the spreadsheet?
Just think. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the loading page, when the loading page is opening, the intensity is very high to join the call, and maybe that is something a product manager can try to solve. And then the click here button is pretty irritating, right? We have seen that it's seventh, and this could probably be a problem which a product manager wants to solve. Now the next step would be that I want to, let's say you are a product manager and you want to solve this problem. So what you will do, you will not remove this irritation from 7 to 0. It's not possible. If it would have been possible, they would have done it. So they would try to reduce the irritation from 7 to 5. That would be your goal. So that will define your next project, that currently the irritation level is 7. In the next 2 months, I will try, next 2 months or next 5 months, I will try to bring this down to 5.
Right. And another thing is like, so these emotions are a little abstract metric. So when you're working on a product like Zoom, you would have millions of users and data points from these users, right? So like, what data point can we possibly use to evaluate how it's improving?
Right. So one of the data point could be the amount of time people are spending from the time they have clicked on the link till the time they have joined the meeting. So the product manager can also have a very specific goal that I have like generally average time that people have in order to join their first call is, let's say, 1 minute. They want to reduce it to 30 seconds.
Right. Right.
So for the subjective thing, emotions, wala thing is working. The reason is that it's pretty subjective. There are not enough metrics how people are feeling about some page or some button.
Right. I think that like you can only get from a small survey of users. But for the metric side, that like from the data that you get from millions of users, which says that like the amount of time that user takes to reach the meeting reduces, like that can be used to measure like what changed.
Correct.
Right. So I think this gives a good idea about like how a product manager would try to improve an existing product. uh, Obviously, like they will have a lot of other metrics to work with, and like a lot of other engineering constraints, I mean a lot of other constraints to work with, but this is sort of like a very the thinking that can be applied for one particular use case, which is like a new participant joining and trying to improve that process. So this is like one small part of the product manager's job. So I mean, hope this has given you guys like, I mean, I don't know the mix here. Maybe next time, like I'll try to launch a poll in the beginning which asks for which stage you are in. But like if you are looking to get into a product role, I'm sure this would have been helpful. Like for existing product managers, looking forward to hear from you how you guys do it, and like whether there's like a difference in the process that you apply. I mean, there is no one hard and fast rule. Like different people have different ways of doing things, but the most important thing is like developing that thought process and the user empathy, which is like at the core of what a product manager does. So if you can do that, even on existing apps, like that is like a great step to start with. So you know uh, like we did a lot of sessions, uh, basically bringing in product managers where they tell about their journey and they tell about skills they have and things like that. I mean, that's all good to a great extent, but to actually get started on the journey, you will have to take a step where you start doing something like this, and you start doing over and over again, taking feedback from people who are in product. So that will really take you, that will imbibe those qualities in you. I mean, like you can't fake it in an interview by just watching a lot of videos or seeing other people do it. You'll have to like create those qualities and that thinking in yourself. So great. Like
Guys, can you also like tell us like whether the session was helpful, but whether you were able to understand some things, like did it give you a basic framework to think about a problem? And if you have any suggestion, do let us know as well.
right. I know it was a little difficult because we are trying to evaluate a product while using that product, like, and Zoom was the medium of being connected in this meeting. So it was a little confusing even for me. Uh, so one thing I want to say again is this is not the only thing a product manager does. Like, this is there is another way of looking at it, is basically like having an open problem. Like the problem that Zoom solves is like video conferencing. So thinking from the problem, the user segment, and the pain points, like that would be the thought process when you're trying to launch a new product. So we'll do those like tear downs and that kind of an exercise later. But for this exercise, if you found this helpful, or if you have suggestions, like your feedback can help us like do it better the next time. uh Great. Like hope to see you guys like in the next session whenever we do it. We'll be doing it soon. So again, just to give you an idea of like what we are trying to do here, uh as you would have seen, like a lot of people want to get into product management, but other than the information that's flying around, there is no clear pathway to it. So the only way is actually like doing things yourself, practicing and networking, and like talking to, like getting feedback from PMs. So that is what we'll try to do here in this community. So great. Like looking forward to the next sessions with you guys. Don't forget to like give some feedback and suggestions, because that will help us improve this process.
All right. Thank you.